Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast, the industry's first and longest running podcast, now in our 16th year. I'm Roger Gross, the publisher of GGB. This week we feature a discussion with Cynthia Hallett, the president and CEO of Americans for Nonsmokers Rights, on the opportunity casinos have to finally end smoking and provide a safe and healthy environment for customers and employees alike. This week's show is supported by Konami Gaming. Later in the program, we'll discuss the world premiere of the Dimension Top Box, debuted this month during G2E. Welcome to the Global Gaming Business Podcast. Our guest today is Cynthia Hallett, the head of the Americans for Nonsmokers Rights, and thanks for joining us, Cynthia. It's great to see you.
Thanks. It's really nice to see you too.
You know, it's been a while since we last talked, but you guys have made a lot of progress. I think certainly the pandemic helped inspire that a little bit, but there's still a lot more non-smoking casinos than there were when we first talked.
That's true, Roger. I think, again, the COVID pandemic really increased public and I think key stakeholder, elected officials, awareness about, public health laws and how they can help protect public health, as well as this is a respiratory-borne, virus, and so the idea of pulling down your mask to exhale smoke or e-cigarette aerosol.
Right.
We don't know what else we're spreading.
Right,
so,
exactly,
but I think we also, as you know, we've been coming to G2E and other gaming meetings for over a decade.
Right.
And I think the science has improved, the number of casinos, whether it's by state law, tribal policy, or voluntarily opening smoke-free.
Right.
And we now have lessons learned.
Yeah. And the fear that you'd lose a substantial amount of revenue has also been eased a little bit, although not completely.
Right. And I think, we see casinos be successful if they plan for this. I mean, we are staying at Park MGM because it is a smoke-free property.
Sure.
And it's fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
I love it. But, they're doing it right. They publicized it. There's digital billboards. It's all done in a really positive way. Let's clear the air. The Park MGM is smoke-free. And that's what it is. It's all about the framing and taking it seriously. If you build it, they will come because more people don't smoke than do.
Right. I'd still like to see their numbers, though.
Yeah, of course.
They don't show them, but that would be an interesting experiment there. So we had pretty much eliminated smoking. Even when the casinos here in Nevada reopened, there was not smoking permitted. But suddenly, boom, it turned around. Even in New Jersey, where Governor Murphy said he was most concerned about citizens' health, and then boom, he's allowing smoking in the Atlantic City casinos after some time. Why did that happen?
That's great. Well, that's an excellent question. I don't know that I can answer that for the governor or for the state of New Jersey or even Nevada, but I do think that, sometimes there's pressure from other sources, and whether it's one industry or another, whether it's tobacco and or gaming or something else, trying to say we need to get back to what the old norm was. But again, this pandemic has taught us that things are changing and they need to change in order to protect health and safety. And if you look at Atlantic City, their revenues went up at, if you compared the first quarter to 2019, it went up by 11% when it was temporarily smoke-free.
Right. Yes.
So again, if people truly love gaming or the amenities that are in those buildings, they will come.
They're going to show up anyway, right? And one of the problems with Atlantic City, and I'm a resident there all summer, is that they don't really keep it to it's only supposed to be 25% of the casino floor, but of course it's not. The people smoke all across the casino floor, and it's a nice effort, but it's just not working.
Yeah, well, again, smoke drifts, and people give the analogy of the peeing section of the pool.
Right.
It's going to drift, and so we can't deal with that. It's also never a contiguous space is what bothered me. I did a back of the house tour at one of the Nickel G's meetings, and it's so where is the 25%? It's well, it's all over.
Right. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. Well, Atlantic City seems to be the poster child now for non-smoking. You've got an organization of employees there that are pushing for it. In fact, you brought some of them here to Las Vegas this week. So how is that effort going right now?
Well, it's phenomenal. As a grassroots organization, we're always looking for the individuals who, want to speak up and speak out about this because they're affected by it. So this group of casino workers organized themselves. We sort of found them because they were so upset that on July 4th of 2021, smoking was reintroduced into the casino. And they had that sweet moment of experience of being able to go to work, not having to breathe the smoke, having players come in. And so now basically they're angry.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the worst type of employee to kind of, then have to deal with because they had the experience. It was a good experience. And so they are now organized. And then we're partnering with them because, again, we can bring some of the background and resources, financial and sort of educational, to help them do this work.
Right. And so their effort now is to address the state legislature and try to get them to pass a bill that would ban smoking. And to his credit, the governor has said he would sign it if it came to his desk. But you've got to convince the majority of the state legislators.
Yes, and it sounds like there's one in particular. It sounds like who is in charge of, I guess, sort of getting the bill even introduced, which is creating a bit of a challenge for them. So I think it's a combination of things. Ultimately, yes, we want to get a bill that makes casinos smoke-free by law. But in the interim, it's also about public education, garnering more support and engagement from casino workers.
Right. So in the meantime, though, we've seen several tribal casinos that reopened banning smoking. They didn't return it, and that's encouraging as well. Have you spoken to any of those executives and what their experience has been?
We have. I mean, some of my team members, and we have a wonderful tribal relations liaison, Clinton Isham, who has been working for us and for us with the tribal casinos. But yeah, over 160 tribal casinos, sovereign nations, reopened smoke-free, which was phenomenal, and most of them have remained smoke-free. Right. And we are hearing, lots of positive remarks about it. We know that Navajo Nation right now is entertaining legislation that would make their casinos smoke-free. But really, the tribes showed leadership early on in the pandemic and kind of paved the way for commercial casinos to also follow suit.
Okay. Well, once again, it's most of the tribal casinos are pretty remote. You have to drive quite a ways to get another casino, and so it's easier for them to do it. I don't want to say it's a no-brainer for them, but it's easier for them to do it. But when you get a jurisdiction like Atlantic City or Pennsylvania or Las Vegas, where one casino would go smoke-free and they might lose some customers to others. So you can understand why they might object to it. But why couldn't you do something like the dirty little secret is the casino executives would love to ban smoking. They don't like it. They have to clean up their casinos all the time. It's a mess on the slot machine, burns holes in their table games. They would love to stop it, but they can't because they can't do it if the next jurisdiction, which is a short drive from their players, won't do it. So why can't you get like all the casino owners in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and New York is smoke free already. So Pennsylvania, New Jersey to say let's ban smoking. Let's get our governors to support it. Do it all at the same time.
I like that idea, and that's something that we're actually attempting to do right now. By again attending these meetings, we often hear about regional competition and parity in the market. And the old argument also was commercial casinos would say, well, we can't do it until the tribes go smoke free. Well. A lot of those excuses are now falling away.
That's right.
And so I think the time, and I understand and support the concerns about competition or losing revenue. Right. But I think that there's also an opportunity right now to take on a new business model. And again, the vast majority of Americans don't smoke. Many other countries, I know there's always questions about international guests and whether they smoke more in those countries or not. People are very law-abiding, and in many countries are also smoke-free with smoke-free gaming. So I think that it's time to stop worrying about all these other issues, and let's just modernize and reopen casino smoke-free.
One of the most surprising games out of G2E this year was a slot series called Cash Parade from Konami. It made its world debut at the show on the Dimension Top Box. Cash Parade is a 5-reel game on the machine's lower 27-inch display and a festive parade of lights blanketing the upper 49-inch portrait displays. So it merges a familiar spin-by-spin chase with fun top-screen bonuses animated across all connected machines. A real exciting expansion for the award-winning Dimension line. To learn more, visit KonamiGaming.com. Now back to our podcast. Well, the fact is, casinos are really the only place, in a lot of states where you can smoke. So I don't think it would cause a lot of problems. Now we've seen some examples even of tribal casinos. I think there's one in Wisconsin, I believe, that went smoke-free early on, and they said they saw a dip in revenue for a couple of months, and then it came right back. So. The benefits that would bring it might be okay to take that little dip in revenue.
Right. Yeah. Ho Chunk Gaming Madison was phenomenal. I think it's now going on 6 years being a smoke-free casino, and so they adapted. And ultimately, and we've had this conversation before, it's about worker health and safety.
Right, sure.
And parity or equity, yesterday there was the whole discussion about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we don't have equity when you have executives on higher level floors having smoke-free offices, but everybody on the gaming floor is exposed to a known carcinogen. So it's about worker health and safety, and then it is about guest preferences and their safety.
Sure. So, as a former dealer, I remember, getting smoke blown into my face and not liking it. I was never a smoker, so to actually have that blown into my face was that much more annoying. But I mean, how are the workers responding to that? Are they really getting, angry at the players who are smoking now?
Well, I don't think that the casino workers are angry at the players. As you recall, I mean, so many casino workers tell us how much they love their job. It's exciting. They like meeting people. They have to audition, so they're essentially performers who have to have these skills. So I don't think they're ever angry at the players per se. It's more that their workplace isn't protecting them. I will say, though, that a number of employees, and somewhere here in Vegas, I won't name them to keep them safe, but, like if they waved their hand in front of their face, it was viewed as an act of insubordination.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
And so, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And again, some casino, or at least the HVAC folks, will say, maybe we can address this with ventilation, but we know that ventilation only deals with comfort and odor, so not the gases and toxins in the smoke.
Yeah, no question. So, the health issue is certainly the big one. I mean, you would think that the casinos would want to do it just because their health costs would be lowered, I would imagine.
Absolutely. I mean, you will have fewer days taken as sick days. You will have lower turnover. I mean, I know how much casinos will invest in their employees in terms of training them, whether it's just on brand or of dealing with the game. There's just so much more in cost savings. And yes, people won't have any of those sort of short-term acute diseases, and certainly, hopefully, none of those long-term effects like cancer and so on.
Right. So you mentioned Park MGM, and I think that's an interesting experiment over there. That they're actually advertising and using marketing and using this as a tool to market to. I mean, people who don't want to be sitting next to a smoker in a casino, then where else are you going to go but Park MGM?
That's right. I think it's wonderful. And if you think about it, MGM as a company has a number of smoke-free properties in other states.
Right.
And so if you think about, National Harbor in DC, Maryland, and other properties in Boston, it's got the experience. And so I think it's really wise to test it. They have a number of property here, and I'm hopeful they'll expand it because, again, they can be a leader, not nationally, but, also in Nevada. Because certainly as wherever Vegas goes, hopefully then the rest will have that domino effect even internationally.
Sure. I was visiting a friend of mine who was running a racino in Ohio at one point, and it's smoke-free in Ohio inside the casino, but he built a smoking lounge outside, and I mean there was just a pergola roof type of thing, and I guess when it rained they couldn't use it. I don't know, but he said they made more money on those machines out there than they did inside, but at least he could continue to offer them. I mean, are you in favor of them allowing to have smoking areas outside?
Absolutely. I think that, our message has been, for people who smoke, just don't smoke in ways that harm others. Take it outside. And the idea of building the outdoor gaming patios is fine as long as employees still don't have to go out there and sort of be in a smoke-filled environment. If it truly is outdoor, that's great. My colleague Anjul Smith is here with me today, and she did a lot of work in New Orleans where Harrah's there ended up building sort of those outdoor patios as well. So I think it's good. Then you really do have that opportunity for players to choose where they'll go. And again, within reason, it should not be sort of an outdoor, mostly enclosed space, because that then defeats the purpose.
Right. Well, your organization is growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, as you mentioned, you've been here at G2E for over 10 years. I remember the first times you were here, you were just picketing outside, but now you had a big press conference. You seem to have a lot of momentum. How are you going to keep that going?
Thank you. Well, and so just for clarity, we weren't the ones picketing outside. There are other groups who were doing that. Right. We were inside going to sessions, and actually we had the booth during the expo. But yeah, we continue to collaborate with our public health partners, our gaming partners, and the casino workers, because I think together we build a strong coalition to communicate the needs and the desires and kind of the benefits of going smoke-free. Again, for workers, there often is this fear of, again, retaliation or getting fired. And so how do we continue to serve as their voice? There was a worker here in Las Vegas, Cheryl Wilkins, who Never smoked a day in her life, started working at 21 as a dealer, got throat cancer, and she asked us, can you please be my voice, because I can't talk about this issue. So we will continue to do that, and I hope that if people are interested, whether they work in a casino or they like to visit a casino, reach out to us and find out how you can get involved to make your casino smoke-free.
So in terms of pressuring the casinos to do this, I mean, have you gone down the road of lawsuits and things of that nature?
No. We're trying to use the carrot and not the stick.
Right.
Back in the late 80s, we were working with the flight attendants to get smoking off of airplanes.
Right.
And we did that through legislation, and then later came a lawsuit because so many flight attendants were getting sick. We prefer to collaborate on more, a more friendly level. Sure. I don't think that we want to try to sue. By the way, we're a small nonprofit. Right. We could never take on gaming industry lawyers.
Yes,
Let's be realistic here.
Yeah, they have pretty deep pockets, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's exciting to see you finally getting some really good traction here, and we've been a big supporter of your organization for quite some time. Again, as a former dealer, I can feel for these dealers who are in this situation, and again, I think the casino executives would like this to happen, but it has to be a coordinated effort. So hopefully that will happen. If we can get the AGA on the side of you guys, to say we should definitely move in this direction. I think that would be a great opportunity as well.
That would be great. The one other area that I personally am involved with, as well as our organization, is we're shareholders.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I have shares in all of the gaming companies. So, and it's interesting to look at those prospectus and to see where their goals are.
Yeah. And,
trying to align it with our public health and advocacy goals.
Sure. Well, and if that's who they're going to listen to, believe me. If the shareholders start complaining, yes, I think that's a great strategy. So Cynthia, thanks for joining us. It's great to see you again, and we'll certainly be there to trumpet your message as we go along.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the good information and challenging us sometimes to explain, what we're doing and how we're doing it. But thank you.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks to our viewers for joining us today on the GGB Podcast. Hope you enjoyed this week's GGB Podcast, with special thanks to Konami Gaming. Reach out to your Konami rep to learn more about the latest slot series coming soon, or visit them online at konamigaming.com. To learn more about smoking bans in casinos around the world, visit ggbmagazine.com. For all the news of the gaming industry, particularly of the recovery from the pandemic, delivered to your desktop every Monday morning, sign up for free at ggbnews.com by using the code GGB180. And don't miss a single episode of the podcast. Subscribe on iTunes or Spotify today. So we'll see you next time on the GGB Podcast.